Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep, unflinching look at the neurobiology of opioid addiction. It's a subject completely surrounded by heartbreak and stigma. But to truly understand it, we've got to strip away all those moral judgments. We need to look at the astonishing science of the brain and see exactly what happens on a cellular level when a foreign substance breaches our most delicate internal systems. I want you to think about this for a second. Your brain already makes a drug for pain and peace, and heroin simply screams over it. We so often think of addiction as a substance just creating a new, temporary feeling. But the reality is actually much more tragic. What we're really looking at is a natural, beautifully balanced system that gets catastrophically overridden.
Let's start by looking at the brain's natural relief system.
Okay, let's dive into this. To understand the damage, we first have to understand our healthy baseline, right? This is the endogenous opioid system. Endogenous just means it originates from within. It's basically our nervous system's built-in network for maintaining homeostasis. Every single time you feel a runner's high, or you recover from a really stressful event, or you naturally dull the pain of a stubbed toe, you are relying on this internal pain relief network. It turns out we have three main families of these natural opioid peptides: beta endorphins, enkephalins, and dynorphins. They lock perfectly into matching receptors in the brain, primarily the mu, delta, and kappa receptors. These natural peptides subtly and beautifully manage everything from exercise-induced euphoria to our baseline stress response. It is a perfectly calibrated chemical dance. Now, the contrast here is just staggering. Our brain's natural state communicates in chemical whispers. It's targeted, temporary, perfectly balanced. But when a drug like heroin enters the system, it's a massive, untargeted, exogenous flood that completely and utterly overwhelms those delicate receptor sites. Which brings us to the mechanics of that heroin flood. So how exactly does this substance breach our defenses so effectively? Well, the process is terrifyingly efficient. Because heroin is highly lipophilic, meaning it's fat-soluble, it crosses the blood-brain barrier in mere seconds. Once it's inside, it undergoes this rapid process called enzymatic hydrolysis. Basically, it breaks down into highly active molecules like 6-MAM and morphine, which then aggressively bind to our mu opioid receptors. And the physiological effects of this flood, they're immediate and they are extreme. The user experiences intense analgesia or pain relief, but crucially, it triggers a massive release of dopamine in the mesolimbic reward system. That's the spike that creates the intense artificial euphoria. Simultaneously, the drug causes deep sedation and depresses the brainstem's respiratory center, which is exactly what makes overdoses so deadly.
This leads us right into the cruel logic of tolerance. So the brain is under chemical assault. How does it protect itself? This is where that cruel logic comes in. You see, tolerance isn't a failure at all. It's a biological survival mechanism gone wrong. Within hours of exposure, the brain's receptors begin to desensitize through a process called phosphorylation. They literally become numb. Within days, to avoid the flood, the receptors actually relocate deeper within the cell. And over weeks of chronic use, there's a total loss of functional receptors. The brain is quite literally shutting down its own hardware just to survive the flood. And this brilliantly illustrates a devastating long-term consequence known as the allostatic spiral. Normally, our brain maintains a flat, stable baseline of well-being, our homeostasis. But chronic heroin involvement drags that baseline downward. The brain establishes a new, much lower set point. The user is no longer taking the drug to get high, right? They're spiraling into a chronic anti-reward state, and they're taking the drug just to reach a baseline that feels remotely normal. To survive the chemical flood, your brain deploys these heavy molecular brakes. Because there is so much artificial opioid stimulation, the brain realizes, hey, it doesn't need to make its own anymore. So it slashes its own baseline production of endogenous comfort chemicals basically to zero. So what happens when the brain simply stops producing them?
What happens when the drug is removed, but the brain has already stopped working the way it used to? Well, we have to look at a brain region called the extended amygdala. During abstinence, this negative valence neural network becomes highly sensitized. The user's motivation shifts entirely. It's no longer about positive reward craving or seeking euphoria. It becomes an overwhelming relief craving. The brain is trapped in a severe anti-reward state, filled with dysphoria and absolutely desperate for relief.
Which brings us to the sheer agony of withdrawal. By anchoring withdrawal directly in the molecular science we just talked about, we can truly understand why it is so agonizing. Take the locus coeruleus, which regulates wakefulness and breathing. When heroin is present, it heavily suppresses the release of noradrenaline. To compensate for this, the adapting brain creates extra enzymes to force the production of noradrenaline anyway. But when the heroin is suddenly taken away, those molecular breaks vanish. Yet the extra enzymes are still there. The result? A massive, uncontrollable spike in noradrenaline. That massive chemical spike, combined with a sudden drop in dopamine, results in pure physical and psychological torture. The withdrawal state includes severe anxiety, muscle cramps, diarrhea, deep emotional dysphoria, and anhedonia, which is the total inability to feel pleasure. The brain is quite literally screaming in chemical chaos. And this is exactly why willpower just isn't enough. Understanding this science fundamentally reframes how we view addiction. It forces us to confront why society's standard advice to just quit is frankly biologically blind. Addiction is not a broken moral compass. It is a fundamental structural hijacking of the brain's survival hardware. The neuroanatomy has been physically rewired. The receptors are gone, the baseline is dropped, and the natural chemicals have completely run dry. So the crucial point is, can sheer willpower alone fix a brain that has completely stopped producing its own comfort chemicals? Willpower cannot instantly regrow lost opioid receptors. It cannot instantly suppress a massive noradrenaline spike. This is a severe medical condition requiring medical and psychological intervention, not just a failure of character. Which brings us right back to where we started today. Your brain already makes a drug for pain and peace, and heroin simply screams over it. The tragedy of opioid use disorder is the loss of our body's beautiful natural homeostasis, stolen by a chemical that forces the brain to shut off its own light just to survive the blinding glare of the drug. Thank you for joining me to look at the real science behind this epidemic. If this helped you understand the biological reality of opioid use disorder, please subscribe to our channel. And more importantly, share this explainer with someone who still thinks addiction is just a choice. If our own brains can be so easily reprogrammed to work against us, how much compassion do we owe those who are currently fighting just to get their biology back?